The father of two sisters who disappeared more than 30 years ago is speaking out now that they have been found. Imagine this, 30 years later. Their mother, Elaine Yates, was arrested yesterday in Houston. We're showing you an age progression sketch of what she would look like now. Police say Yates took her daughters from their home in Rhode Island in 1985, at the time she and her husband were going through a divorce. One of my producers reached Russell Yates, the father. He told CNN, this is his quote, "I just want to hopefully get to know my children and let them know they have a younger half-sister that would very much like to know them. I'm not looking to see their mother prosecuted as long as I know they weren't harmed in any way. When she left, I was still very much in love with her. I don't want to push my children any further away. They may not even know they have a father." Rhode Island police received an anonymous tip a few days before Christmas, which ultimately led to Elaine Yates' arrest.
Over the past 31 years, numerous leads have been investigated with negative results. Days before Christmas this past year, members of our major crimes unit received information that Elaine Yates was living in Houston, Texas under an alias name with her daughters. After a thorough investigation, detectives were able to locate Elaine Yates in Houston, Texas under an alias name, and her two children were also located in Houston under alias names.
As for the girls, they're not children anymore. Obviously, this was 30 years ago. Kelly was then 10 months old. She is now 32. Kimberly was 3.5. She is now 35. Joining me now is Chang Rickert. She is a child custody attorney. We all in the news are marveling at this story and the Kamaya Mobley story, but these are not as uncommon as we might think they are.
Yeah. You know, I'm a divorce and custody attorney, and I think at the outset, when you're angry at the father or the mother of your child, the initial tendency is to prohibit them from seeing the children.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, family courts don't view it that way.
Right.
In this situation...
This was an illegal act.
Yes, it was. Well, it actually wasn't.
Oh, interesting.
Because there were no orders. So
saying that children have to be with one parent or the other,
right,
because there was no orders.
Right. So
it was just a
married,
mystery at that point then.
That's correct. So if you're married and the children are with one parent,
yeah,
that's okay. That happens a lot. Sometimes the children are with me, sometimes they're with daddy.
So this was just viewed as though they were missing, even though they knew there was more to the case.
I don't even think it was viewed as missing at the outset. So if you read the whole story, at the outset, he came home and they were not in their beds. So he called the police. Well, that's what he said, but there was no phone call logged. Yeah. The next day he called them and they said, well, they're with mom. Yeah. It's okay, just wait 48 hours.
Yeah.
So I think after 48 hours he can file a missing persons report.
I think about this, and have you seen a situation where after all of this time, 30 years, these women are adults and likely parents themselves, and the youngest for sure probably has no memory. The older one was 3 at the time.
I know.
Likely has very few memories of a father or a life as a family together. Have you ever seen anything quite like this?
I have never ever seen something like this.
What are your greatest concerns when you look at this? What are the things, as you as a custody attorney, what comes up for you that you are concerned about?
Well, number one, these children don't know that they have a dad. Well, we don't know if they know
they have
right.
a dad, right.
And if they do, I think it's going to take years of counseling to get acquainted with the father, because they grew up without one.
Yeah. And then, let's say they did know, maybe there was a story painted about him that may or may not be true.
Maybe the mom told them that he was dead.
Right.
You don't know. But I do think it takes a lot of effort, and I think they interviewed the father, and he was, you know, they can contact me if you want. I think it takes more effort than that.
Yeah.
He's going to have to
actually reach
seek
out.
them out.
Yeah, yeah.
And
well, Kelly, Chang Rickert, I appreciate you coming in, because this is another story, especially on the heels of the Kamaya Mobley case. It has captivated a lot of people's attention. We wanted to get sort of your professional assessment on it. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Michaela.